Close your eyes for a moment, not forever, just long enough to notice something you usually ignore. The noise, not just around you, but inside you. Thoughts jumping from one thing to another. Reminders, worries, plans, regrets, always moving. Now imagine if, just for a second, all of that stopped. No past, no future, just this moment. And in that silence, a question appears. Not loud, not urgent, but powerful. What actually matters? Most people never sit with that question because the moment it shows up, they escape it. They reach for their phone. They open another tab. They distract themselves because answering that question changes everything. Welcome to audiobook mode, where you don't just listen, you confront, where ideas don't entertain you, they wake you up. So don't rush this. Let it sink in, because this is not just another audiobook. This is a mirror, and what you see might change your life. There's a hidden cost to the way most people live. It's not obvious. You won't see it in a single day, but over time, it takes everything: your clarity, your energy, your direction, and eventually, your life. That cost is distraction, not just scrolling, not just entertainment, but constant, subtle misdirection. Doing things that feel important but aren't. Chasing tasks instead of purpose. Filling time instead of using it. There was a man named Rohan. He wasn't lazy. He worked hard, woke up early, stayed late, handled responsibilities. On paper, he was doing everything right, but inside, something felt off. Not broken, just empty, like he was constantly moving, but not arriving anywhere. Every day felt the same. Busy, but forgettable. Productive, but meaningless. And the worst part, he couldn't explain why. Because from the outside, everything looked fine. This is the trap. When your life looks good, but doesn't feel right, most people ignore that feeling. They push it down, tell themselves they are overthinking, that things will improve later. But later never comes, because nothing changes, until you see clearly. One evening, Rohan sat alone. No TV, no phone, just silence. At first, it felt uncomfortable. His mind kept searching for something, anything. But eventually, it slowed down, and in that quiet, he noticed something. He wasn't overwhelmed because he had too much to do. He was overwhelmed because too much of what he was doing didn't matter. That realization hit hard, because it meant something deeper. It meant he had been living on autopilot, following patterns, reacting to life, instead of choosing it. This is where everything begins, not with action, but with awareness. Because once you see the problem, you can't unsee it. And once you can't unsee it, you can't keep living the same way. Rohan started observing his days, not changing anything yet, just watching. Where was his attention going, and what was it creating? He noticed something surprising. Most of his time was spent reacting. Messages, emails, requests, things that demanded immediate attention, but didn't move his life forward. And that's when he understood something powerful. Urgency is not the same as importance. Urgency screams. Importance whispers. Urgency demands. Importance waits. And if you don't learn to tell the difference, you'll spend your life responding to noise and missing what truly matters. Think about your own life. How much of your day is chosen, and how much is reaction? How much is intentional, and how much is automatic? Because that difference is your life. Rohan didn't try to fix everything. He started with one change. Every morning, before doing anything, he asked himself, what actually matters today? Not everything, just one thing. At first, it felt too simple, but that simplicity was the key, because complexity hides truth. Simplicity reveals it. And when he focused on that one thing, something shifted. He made progress, not just movement. Progress. There's a difference. Movement keeps you busy. Progress moves you forward. And most people are stuck in movement. They feel productive, but nothing changes because they're focused on everything except what matters. Rohan began removing things, not aggressively, but intentionally. He said no more often, not to everything, but to anything that didn't align. And slowly, his life became quieter, not empty, focused. And in that focus, he found something he hadn't felt in years: clarity. And with clarity came control. Because when you know what matters, everything else becomes easier to ignore. Now pause for a moment. If nothing changed, if you continued living exactly as you are right now, where would you end up? Not where you hope to be, but where your current focus is leading. Because your future is built from your present attention, and if your attention is scattered, your future will be too. But if your attention is intentional, everything changes. This is not about perfection. You will still get distracted. You will still lose focus. That's human. But the difference is awareness. Because once you see what matters, you can always return to it. again and again, until it becomes your life. And one day, you'll look back and realize something simple. You didn't do everything, but you did what mattered, and that was enough. Now, let's go deeper, because understanding what matters is only the beginning. The real challenge is protecting it, because the moment you decide to focus, life will test you. Distractions won't disappear. They will increase. Opportunities will come. Requests will grow. People will expect more from you, and suddenly, you'll feel pulled again. This is where most people lose, not because they lack clarity, but because they lack boundaries. So Rohan made another shift. He stopped treating his attention as something available and started treating it as something valuable, limited, worth protecting. He realized something most people ignore. Every time you say yes, you are saying no to something else. Every commitment costs you time, energy, focus, and if you're not careful, you'll spend your life paying for things you never wanted. So he became selective, not selfish, intentional. If something didn't align, it didn't get his attention, even if it felt small, because small distractions create big consequences over time. A few minutes here, a few minutes there, and suddenly your day is gone, your energy is gone, your progress is gone. So he built awareness. He noticed patterns when he wanted to escape discomfort, when he reached for distraction, when he avoided meaningful work, and instead of reacting, he paused just for a moment. And that pause changed everything, because in that pause, he had a choice: continue unconsciously or act intentionally. This is the power of awareness. It creates space between impulse and action. And in that space, you take control. Over time, that control becomes your life, not perfectly, but consistently and slowly. Everything improves. Your work becomes deeper, your thinking becomes clearer, your time becomes meaningful, and something unexpected happens. You feel calm, not because life is easy, but because your attention is no longer scattered. It's directed, focused, aligned. And that's where fulfillment lives, not in doing everything, but in doing what matters. Here on Audiobook Mode, this is what we explore: not more noise, but more clarity, because clarity is rare, and once you have it, you protect it. So as you sit here right now, don't rush away. Don't reach for distraction. Stay in this moment and ask yourself, what truly matters? Not what should matter, not what others expect, but what actually matters to you. And then ask, am I giving it my attention? If the answer is no, that's okay, because now you see it, and awareness is where everything begins. You don't need to change your entire life today. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to start. One decision, one focus, one intentional moment, because a meaningful life is not built in a day. It's built in moments, chosen, focused, repeated, and over time. Those moments become your life, and one day you'll look back, not with regret, but with clarity, because you didn't drift. You chose, you focused, you lived intentionally, and that is what it means to focus on what matters. If this made you pause, if it made you think, if it made you see your life differently, then stay with us. Subscribe to Audiobook Mode, because this is where distraction ends and clarity begins. And remember, your attention is your life. Where you place it determines everything. So choose carefully, because what you focus on today becomes your life tomorrow.